Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this webinar on e-invoicing by GSTZen. Just a quick check. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
If so, okay. Thank you very much. Let's get started. Thank you all for attending this webinar. So this is the third time we are having this webinar in this month. The main reason why we are having this is that e-invoicing for taxpayers 20 crores and above turnover is starting from the 1st of April 2022. In this webinar, first we'll go over the basics of e-invoicing, understand what the legal provisions are, and then go to technical details of how to create a demo account and what are the various solutions that we have for generating e-invoices. We'll also have a live demo of generating e-invoices through some of GSTZen's offerings. A brief introduction about GSTZen. GSTZen provides GST compliance software for return filing such as GSTR1, 3B, 9 and 9C. We also have lots of reconciliation reports. You can reconcile your books with 2A and 2B. You can reconcile 1, 2A, 3B. We have a PAN level report. We have e-wayable reports, so on and so forth. We also have lots of other useful tools. We request the viewers to check it out, sign up to our software and take a look. Here's how we are doing. We have about 30,000 users and we have lakhs of reports downloaded in a year. We process about 1 million invoices every day, and we have about 20 crore invoices in our database. I also would like to point a statistic about e-invoicing. We generate about 1 e-invoice every second. Our users through our platform, various means, generate an e-invoice every second. This is for the 500 crore, 100 crore and the 50 crore turnover taxpayers. So let's look at the progress of e-invoicing in India. So the e-invoicing went live first for the 500 crore taxpayers on the 1st of October 2020. Since then, the limit has been reduced progressively, and the proposal right now, we are going to go live for taxpayers with annual aggregate turnover greater than 20 crore rupees from the 1st of April 2022. So it's just a week away. So this picture is used by GSTN to illustrate the need for e-invoicing. So here are pictures of different sockets, different power sockets in different countries. Every socket has a different configuration. So if you have a laptop or a phone that you want to charge, you cannot plug it directly into the socket. You need an adapter of the correct socket. And especially for people who are traveling from one country to the other, this is going to be very difficult, or you need a solution, something like a universal adapter that can plug into any socket. Now, instead of sockets, think about invoices. There are different software vendors in India. There are Tally, customized billing software in companies, small billing software companies, the large folks, SAP, there are QuickBooks, Zoho. There are so many folks, software providers in India. There are people who use these software, and the invoice generated by one software and the invoice generated by another software, they are all very different. So you cannot take the invoice of one software and then automatically import it. An invoice from Zoho, for example, cannot directly go into Tally. So this is the situation in India. So you need some kind of an adapter for these software to talk to each other. So that adapter is what is introduced by the government of India. That is the e-invoice format. Now everybody in India will generate invoice of the same format. And so once it should make it easy to send invoices to other software and import. And when I mean format, it is very important to note it is not the format of how the invoice appears on the screen, but it is the digital representation of the invoice. What are the fields? What is the value? So on and so forth. Now, once that is there, you can send invoices directly from one software to the other. And that is the big change, I think, that will happen over the next year or two. Let's look at the legal provisions. Why e-invoicing is necessary? What is the power that the government has and through which it has affected these notifications, right? Firstly, there is notification number, central tax notification number 61/2020, by which taxpayers with aggregate turnover in a financial above 500 crores, they were required to issue e-invoices from the 1st of October 2020. Since then, the limit has been progressively reduced. And so now you can see central tax notification 1/2022. Because of this, 20 crores and above taxpayers with annual aggregate turnover, they will have to generate e-invoices from the 1st of April 2022. Here are the relevant notification and rules that define what the e-invoicing provisions are. The CGST notification 68/2019 essentially defines what is an e-invoice and who is required to issue an e-invoice. So what it says is that there is a sub rule 48 sub rule 4. It says that this is the structure of the e-invoice as issued by the government, and any taxpayer who is for whom e-invoicing is applicable has to generate invoice in that particular structure as issued by the government and get it registered with the government and receive an invoice reference number. That is the proof that you have generated an e-invoice, and this is what is required for all the taxpayers who meet the criteria. Sub rule 5 is actually very important. It says invoice other than the above is not valid. So if you have taken an invoice, printed it on paper, signed it, so on and so forth, that is not an invoice, it is just a piece of paper. What is an invoice is the digital representation. The electronic data has to be registered with the government and you should get it acknowledged. That is what is an e-invoice. And anything else is not an invoice. So if you do not generate e-invoice, you could be in violation of the provisions. Issuing a paper invoice will not be sufficient. Sub rule 48 sub rule 6 makes makes taxpayers' life easy. What it says, multiple copies of the invoice are not required. So if you have an invoice, electronic invoice that you have generated, you do not need any other copies. The earlier rules were you had to issue original to the recipient, duplicate to transporter, and the triplicate has to be kept with the supplier. Those provisions do not apply. If you have generated an e-invoice, that is sufficient. Now, CGST notification 16/2019, it notifies what is the common portal. Just like for GST, there is a common portal, e-way bill, there is a portal. Now there is for e-invoicing, also there is a portal that is run by the National Informatics Center. The website is www.e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. Central tax notification 60/2020, it specifies the schema of the e-invoice, the fields of INV01. It says what are the fields, whether there should be an invoice number, invoice date, where the amount should be, who the supplier is, how do you specify. All those details are specified in the schema. Let's look at who is exempted from generating e-invoices. If you have a special economic zone registration, then such taxpayers do not have to generate e-invoices, they are exempt. And persons covered under CGST rule 54 and the sub rules 2, 3, 4 and 4A. Basically, these are taxpayer this is mainly financial institutions or a transport agency, or if you're doing passenger transport, the tickets that you issue and the tickets issued for films in a multiplex, so on and so forth. So these are the taxpayers who are exempt from e-invoicing. This comes from notification 61/2020. Other than that, all the other taxpayers have to generate e-invoices. So now this is a very important slide. There are people who usually ask a lot of questions about for which transactions e-invoicing is applicable. So this slide succinctly answers that question. So I request you to pay attention and understand this slide and refer to this slide also later. On the left are document types and on the right are the types of transactions. So which documents are applicable for e-invoicing? Those are shown in green in color and the others are shown in red in color. For example, if you have a tax invoice, e-invoicing applicable. If you have a credit note, e-invoicing applicable. If you have a debit note, e-invoicing is applicable. So when we generally say e-invoice, we actually mean e-document. How the word e-invoice covers all these types of documents. However, we refer to them as e-invoice. We don't say call it e-invoice, e-credit note. However, you should take it to mean these. So a tax invoice, credit note, and debit note, e-invoice is mandatory. For bill of supply, delivery challan, ISD invoice, e-invoice is not applicable. You do not have to generate e-invoice. In fact, you cannot generate e-invoice for these types of documents. Okay. Now let's look at the type of transactions. Within invoices, do you have to generate e-invoice for all transactions? No. Only certain transactions are covered under e-invoicing. What are they? B2B transactions, business to business, business to government, export transactions. So these three transactions are covered under e-invoicing. B2C transactions are not covered under e-invoicing, and any entry that you make in your books for purchase under reverse charge, if you make a purchase from a URD supplier, that is not under e-invoicing. If you import anything from abroad, so import of goods or service, if you record it in your books of accounts, these imports, you do not have to do anything related to e-invoicing for those. So now let's look at registration. Who is required to register? Again, anybody with turnover, annual aggregate turnover more than 20 crores is required to register. Just to be very clear, what is annual aggregate turnover? Annual is very clear. It's in the financial year. Aggregate means the turnover of all your GST numbers. If you have a PAN number with multiple GST numbers, the turnover in all the individual GST numbers. This will also include any transaction from one GST to another. For example, within you have let's say two registrations, one in Karnataka and another in Maharashtra. If you make a sale from Karnataka to Maharashtra within your own company, that amount has to be included to compute the annual aggregate turnover. Though this will not affect your profit and loss statement, it will not come in your books of accounts as P&L, as revenue. This is considered GST revenue, and so this should be added to decide whether you are eligible for e-invoicing. Also, both taxable and non-taxable revenue has to be included. Lots of people ask this question. I deal mostly with exempt business. However, some transactions are taxable. So even if 1 rupee, one invoice is a taxable transaction, for that invoice, you have to generate e-invoices. Of course, for exempt transactions, no e-invoices. E-invoice is not required. We have already shown in the previous slide. Bill of supply does not come under e-invoicing. So where is the website to go and register? Point shown here at the bottom, e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. This is the main website. This is the live production website. This is where you should go and register. There is also a trial website. You can log into this e-invoice1-trial.nic.in. You can log in and register and try to generate e-invoices. We also have an API sandbox. This is mainly for software developers. However, if you are using GSTZen, if you are a developer using GSTZen, we have provided with sandbox GST numbers for you to use. We request you to use them and get started right away. Another important question is, when is this website open? This website is already open today. We suggest and we in fact request all taxpayers above 20 crores to start generating e-invoices as soon as possible. If you can start today, tomorrow, day after, that would be great. Please do not wait until the last day, until April 1st, and to scramble and comply with the law. You can start much earlier. There is other information you can check. Who is currently generating e-invoices and whether you have enabled, you can go and check here. The government has also provided some bulk generation utilities. You can punch your invoices in those utilities and generate, or if you have generated JSON from some software, you can use that. Government has also given a QR code verification utility. You should be able to use that. And There is here also utility for verifying a signed invoice. In this today, I'll show you a demo where we'll verify an invoice. We'll generate an invoice, verify it on the government portal. So here is the process for generating e-invoices. Taxpayer has some software, ERP, accounting software, Excel, government's offline utility, whatever that is. Finally, the JSON from that software has to go to the APIs provided by the government. Either you go directly to the government website and upload, or you go through service providers like GSTZen. Finally, that invoice goes to one of these registrars. Today, there is only one registrar, which is run by NIC. From there, the invoice also goes to the GST system, e-Waybill system. It automatically populates GSTR1 and the recipients 2A, 2B. And these invoices also come back to the sender in as a digitally signed invoice with a QR code. You can print this, and this is the proof that you have generated an e-invoice. Here is a small animation to show the workflow. Supplier generates the e-invoice JSON. From there, it goes to the GST system, and there are multiple registrars. As I said, today only one registrar is available. So the invoice goes to one of these one registrar run by NIC. From there, the registrar sends the data to GSTN, also to the e-Waybill, generates an e-Waybill automatically and populates GSTR1. The GSTN will populate GSTR1, and from there it goes to the recipients 2A. There is also proposal in the future. It can go to other agencies like bankers, and also can be used for transaction posting. APIs can be used to post these invoices into the books of accounts. All right. So that's the high-level overview of e-invoicing. Now let's go over a few terms and definitions, and then I'll open it up for questions. So this is the most common term that you will hear, which is invoice reference number. However, in my opinion, this is not very important for ordinary people. Like you are a taxpayer, you are the accountant at the company. Nobody is going to remember this number. Here is a 64-digit alphanumeric number. This will uniquely tell you that this is a e-invoice. Nobody is going to remember this number. So I would just suggest that you ignore this number. If you are a software provider, okay, take this IRN, save it in your database. But otherwise, for human beings, there is nothing to note here. What is important to understand is IRN number is unique. So one party's IRN number will not match with another party. How, like for example, let's say two taxpayers both generate invoice number INV1. They will have different IRN numbers. They will not have the same IRN number. So that's the most important thing to note. Otherwise, you should just ignore this number. Invoice reference portal. So this is important. This is a portal run by NIC. The invoice goes from the taxpayer to the NIC through various forms. You can upload from the government's utility. You can upload in bulk from Excel. You can upload one invoices. You can use various tools provided by GSTZen, other service providers. Whatever it is, it finally goes to the invoice registration portal. From there, it goes to the e-invoice registry to check that this invoice has not already been generated. And the IRP uploads the e-invoice to the e-Waybill portal and also to the GST common portal, so that the e-invoice, the GSTR1 gets populated with the e-invoice data. The IRP also sends back a digitally signed invoice and the QR code. So this is the overall view of what the IRP does. So the first portal is authorized by the government, run by NIC. Second portal, the GSTN has called for tenders. Somebody will take it up at some point. It verifies and acknowledges e-invoices, replies within a blink of an eye. So usual people ask, how long does it take? Usually between 100 to 200 milliseconds, you will get an answer. This portal retains invoices for about 24 hours. We know that I think it's now 72 hours. But beyond that, it does not retain invoices. So if you go search for your invoice in this portal, after 3 days, you will not see this. It does not contain a listing of your historical invoices. So let's understand what is the reply that the IRP sends to you. IRP, even though IRP sends reply in a JSON format, you should be able to open and see it and understand at least some of it. So here there is a field called ACKDT, which is the acknowledgement number. It tells you when the e-invoice was generated. ARN number tells you what is the unique acknowledgement number for your e-invoice. The actual IRN number also we have already seen. This is a 64 character number. Again, you should ignore it. There are some important fields here: signed invoice, signed QR code. For the ordinary people who are seeing this, it is only a bunch of characters. There are about 4,000 characters. You will not understand anything. It will not make sense what this is. It starts with E, Y, J, H, B, G, so on and so forth. However, this is encoded. This is the digitally signed invoice encoded here. There are various software tools that can understand this output and tell you that whether it's a valid invoice or not. In fact, we will do that right now in a demo, like shortly after we generate invoices, we'll validate them. Similarly, there is a signed QR code, which is a short form of the invoice, and this will contain about 1,000 characters, and it tells you what summary information about the invoice and digitally signed. So you can print the signed QR code as a QR code in the invoice, and people can scan it and verify that's an invoice. There are a few more details like status, e-waybill date, number, valid, till so on and so forth. All right. So this is the response from the IRP. And now you can take this response, you can upload it to the government portal. You will see that this is the portal will show you that this is a valid digitally signed invoice. Anybody can verify it, and it's tamper proof. And you do not also need an internet connection. If you have the right utility, you can check that it's a valid invoice in any utility. All right. And here is a picture of the QR code. The same signed QR code which we saw in the previous slides, EYJH, is shown here as an image. So this contains the high-level parameters of an invoice. It can be used to know the authenticity of an invoice. So if you have a QR code scanning utility, appropriate utility from the government, you can scan this and you can verify that this is a valid e-invoice. And so here is the decoded QR code, contains the details such as the buyer GST, the customer GST, the supplier GST number, IRN, the amount, the HSN code, so on and so forth. Here is the process of generating e-invoices through GSTZen. This picture is applicable to any e-invoice provider. You have your ERP application, you prepare invoices in that application. Whatever details are that invoice, they go to the module that validates the invoice. From there, sent to the government portal, IRP portal, validated, comes back as IRN digital signature and gets saved as IRN and gets saved in the ERP. Of course, you will have the soft copy, you have the details. You can email the invoice and PDF to the recipient as well. So this is the overall view of GSTZen solution. We'll look into details in shortly. Here are the multiple different types of solutions GSTZen proposes. On the right hand side are the most easiest solution. On the left hand side are the little bit difficult solutions. So if you have an Excel file with invoices, you can drag and drop the Excel file. You can generate e-invoices. We also have a secured folder integration where you can automatically send data to a location and e-invoices will get generated. We also have APIs which are very easy to use, and we have integrations for some of those ERPs. Directly you can generate e-invoices from the ERPs. We'll go through some of these solutions demo shortly. So now we'll walk through the frequently asked questions. I will pause here. If anyone has any questions, let us go over them. Please raise your hand. I'll unmute you and you can ask your question, or you can even type your question on the chat. Yeah, does anyone have any question at this moment? Please raise your hand and ask the question, or please type it publicly in the chat. I get some personal questions here just in my chat message. Anyway, the question Mr. P. Mahesh is asking whether exempt sales e-invoice is required or not. Again, this was already shown here. For bill of supply exempt sales, e-invoice is not required. E-invoice is required only for tax invoice, credit note, and debit note. Any other questions? Please raise your hand, unmute yourself, or you may type it in the window. Okay. Let me go ahead with the questions that I have prepared. So the usual questions that people ask, whether we can amend e-invoices or whether we can cancel e-invoices. Okay, so someone, Mr. Satya Prakash Mishra, can more than one e-way bill for one bill or invoice. For one invoice, you can have only one e-way bill. And if you want to cancel the invoice, you should cancel the e-way bill. All right. So if you have questions, please type them in the chat directly to everybody. Please don't send them as a direct message to me. Mr. Satya Prakash Mishra, I can see that you have raised your hand. Go ahead, sir. You're unmuted.
Sir, we are the exporter, and one invoice for export, there are 10 containers which moves on different dates. So how can we use one e-way bill for that purpose?
So there is a concept called a multi-vehicle e-way bill. So this is one invoice which goes with multiple vehicles. So today you are generating a multi-vehicle e-way bill. Is that correct, sir?
No, right now what we are doing, we generate our invoice and we don't generate e-way bill for that invoice particularly. We issue delivery challan, and per day we, for one vehicle, we issue delivery challan and we issue e-way bill for that delivery challan.
So you can continue the same process, right?
Okay, but
so there is no change in the law because of e-invoicing and e-way bill.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Whatever you are doing today,
yeah,
if that is acceptable, you can continue that. Because of e-invoicing, what e-invoicing is requiring is that if you have an invoice, you should get it registered.
And for one invoice and multiple vehicle, तो multiple vehicle वाला e-way bill वाला concept sir अगर आप
multi-vehicle e-way bill is there.
Okay, so for e-invoice we can use that e-way bill.
That is correct, sir. Yeah. Let me check. So, Venu sir, do you want to add about this multi-vehicle with an e-invoice?
Yeah.
Sir, I would like to mention whatever your current practice is, it will continue. When you are raising the goods in one invoice and sending it in 10 different containers, 10 different shipments.
Yeah.
The first 9 shipments, you will raise delivery challan and e-way bill.
Okay.
That will continue. For the last shipment, you will raise e-way bill and e-invoice. Instead of a physical invoice, you have one e-way bill and e-invoice. So one e-invoice, 9 delivery challans, and 10 e-way bills. So the multi-vehicle thing is like you can change the vehicle number to the same document any number of times. Or if you have a road,
that's what I would like to know. After issuing 9 e-way bill, last e-way bill we have to generate for that invoice.
Correct.
So 10 delivery challans, 10 e-way bill, after that one e-way bill, or in last one e-way bill.
Sir, 9 delivery challans plus 9 e-way bills.
Yeah.
10th one e-invoice plus e-way bill.
So in 10th one, there is only one container that's moving with the goods. So how can value will be tallied?
So while you are generating an e-way bill, you have this option of SKD, CKD.
Yeah.
E-way bill. You should use that option. So that is where the government department will track. These are the other delivery challans and this is the material. So that it would be tracked in that way.
No, that's okay. But for our invoice, main invoice, in last, we have to issue one e-way bill for whole value.
No, sir. Each container, let's say, hypothetically, let us keep total invoice value is 11 lakhs.
Yeah.
9 delivery challans have gone with 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh, 1 lakh each.
Yeah.
The last container has 2 lakh worth material.
Yeah.
You will raise an e-way bill for 2 lakh worth material under SKD, CKD. Your e-invoice will be for 11 lakhs. So e-invoice is summation of all your e-way bills.
Okay. So in last, we have to choose the option SKD, CKD and put the details of 2 lakh only.
Even for all the 10 e-way bills, it is SKD, CKD.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. So let's go to the other questions. So I see people ask Mr. Asus, by the way, please change your name and make sure that it comes as your proper name and not the name of your laptop. They're ERP software company developing VB.NET ASP applications. How to integrate with the API? I'll quickly show you a demo of our APIs. You should be able to integrate it in your software. We also have code samples for C# and VB.NET. You should be able to use that. Thomas Varghese, yeah, thank you very much. And Mr. Ravinder Singh, any amendments allowed to the e-invoice allowed? Amendments are not allowed. And so you will see, you will have to cancel your e-invoice. So let us go over the other questions that I have prepared. And we will cover some of these questions soon. So the most common question that people usually ask is if there is an amendment to the cancellation in the e-invoice, if there is a mismatch between the IRP and the books, what to do, whether if there is a change in the portal versus in the GST R1, how to deal with it. So let us get into some of these questions shortly. So it's in my next slide. Yeah. So at what time is e-invoice required for a particular transaction? So when is e-invoice required? E-invoice is required before you commence the movement of goods. If it is an across the counter sale, before the sale is made, you should issue the e-invoice. And if it's an invoice for services, before issuing to the customer, you should generate an e-invoice and issue the e-invoice to the customer. So some questions about how do e-way bills work. Today, how you are generating e-way bills, the same way will continue. The e-way bills rules are not changed. There is no change to the rules for e-way bills. The only thing, there is a facility. Since you have already generated an e-invoice and the details are there with the government, you can use that e-invoice to generate the e-way bill. So the part A of your e-way bill is already populated. You can simply generate the part B of the e-way bill by providing the vehicle details. Facility exists that you can generate an e-way bill along with an e-invoice, or you can generate e-way bill later when the details are available. Note that the IRP provides e-way bill facility only for invoice, not for credit note, debit note, etc. And as far as cancellation is concerned, if you want to cancel the invoice, you should first have to cancel the e-way bill. And if you're using software like GSTZen, these things are handled. If you cancel the invoice, e-way bills will all get cancelled automatically. Common questions that people ask: how to print the e-invoice? You print it along with the IRN and the QR code that you receive from the government. If you are having a digital display, only the QR code is sufficient. You don't have to provide the full invoice details to an officer. How to send the e-invoice to the recipient? So the IRP will not send the details for you. You can email the acknowledgement JSON along with the PDF, and this is sufficient. At some point, the government is planning to build a system so that the recipient can receive the e-invoices, but that's not available right now. So this is mainly for software developers. What details of the e-invoice should we save in our ERP? You should save the acknowledgement number, date, the invoice, the QR code, and the digitally signed, whatever is digitally signed by the IRP, all these details you should save. Until what time can I register an e-invoice? You can, the usual question people ask is, can we generate backdated invoices? Answer is yes. Before issuing invoice, you should generate e-invoice and then issue it. So for example, today you can generate any invoice in the past, but you cannot generate a future invoice. There is no time limit until when you can generate invoices. However, we recommend that you generate it within 48 hours. Can an e-invoice be cancelled? Yes, an e-invoice can be cancelled within 24 hours of its creation. Can an e-invoice be modified? No. So this is the most common question that people ask. Can I made a mistake, can I make corrections? No, you cannot correct it. You cancel the invoice, you issue a fresh invoice. The fresh invoice that you issue will have a new invoice number. It cannot have the old invoice number that you cancel. So this is the most important thing to remember. So what if you have generated an invoice by mistake and it is not cancelled within 24 hours? If you have generated it, but if you forgot to cancel, what you should do is you should cancel it in the books of accounts that you are maintaining. You should make sure that in the GSTR1, this invoice will not reflect. Otherwise, your liability will increase and then you have to report it in 3B. All that will become a big issue. Ideally, cancel within 24 hours, but if not possible, make sure that it doesn't go to the GSTR1 and cancel in your books of accounts. So here are some common errors that you have seen people encounter. Like there are HSN code issues. GST portal and the NIC are very strict about the HSN codes. So make sure that you have proper HSN codes. You can use our validator and other utilities. PIN code has to match the state code. So please check that. Make sure that your masters are correct. And the recipient GST, if it's cancelled, you have no other option. You simply have to issue a B2C invoice and use proper software so that your amounts are correct and your e-invoice JSON is proper. So let me go over some of the technical aspects. So basically, you need to have a software that will prepare e-invoice as per the schema, send it to the IRP, also send the invoice to your customers and receive the invoice from the supplier. So you need to have systems in place for smooth operations. We've gone over this picture already. It shows the schematic of e-invoices. Let me tell you, these are the details in the e-invoice. So there are so many fields in an invoice, such as the invoice number, date, type of transaction, whether it is a credit note, debit note, or a tax invoice, who the seller is, who the buyer is, dispatch from ship to, the line items, the HSN code, whether it's a goods, services, whether there is a discount. So many details. All these details today, people are preparing invoices, printing them, signing and sending them, or sending digitally signed PDFs, right? All these details are incorporated into the e-invoice schema in some format. They will get, be converted into electronic format, and then they'll go to the government. So whatever invoice you are displaying physically, this will be generated digitally. So that is the high level aspect of what is an e-invoice. So we'll not go too much into the technical details of what the fields are. Let me go directly into a couple of demos to give you a clear picture of what an e-invoice is, how to generate. We'll also validate the invoices. I will generate invoices through multiple methods and show it to you so that it is clear. You get a better picture. I hope you're able to see my screen. So here I'm going to generate e-invoices through three methods. First method, GSTZen has a billing software. I'll simply punch an invoice here and show it to you to give a quick feel of what it takes to generate an e-invoice. Then we will go one level further. We will use Excel multiple invoices, and then we'll also use APIs and generate e-invoices. So here I'm going to the sales register. So this is GSTZen sales register. There are multiple invoices here. By the way, you should be able to see here, there are e-invoice status is color coded. Green tick means e-invoice generated. This red color trash can symbol means that this is a cancelled invoice. If there is error, yeah, so here this is an invoice has some error. This indicates that the e-invoice could not be generated because of some error. You can correct it. So let me generate a new invoice for you. So I'll say new B2B sales invoice. I'll find some recipient here in my list. Let's say Actus Technology, some company I found. Let me give today's a unique name, March 23. So let me say this is my invoice number. Let me give, okay, let me not give today's date. Let me give yesterday's date just to show that backdated invoices are possible. I'm now entering the line item details of the invoice. I'm going to sell.
Suriya, can you take the previous month date, please?
Pardon?
Previous month, February date.
Sure, I can do that. Let me enter the details and I'll get to that. Yeah. So let me add a table. Let's say my table is 1,000 rupees. One table worth 1,000 rupees. And I will add, let's say, a chair. Let's say I sell 4 chairs for 200 rupees. So my total value is 1,800 rupees. You will be able to see that. And the tables has a tax rate of, let's say, 12%, whereas chair has 18%. The software will calculate all that, the tax amount, that it is IGST, so on and so forth. Here are the details. So Venu wanted me to change the date. So let me change the date of the invoice. So instead of 22nd March, let me give 22nd February. Okay. So here is the invoice that I have. The invoice number is March 23rd, 001. The date is here. We also have a display of the invoice. You should be able to see that here. So here is our seller details. Here is our address. Here are the items. Here are the recipe details of the invoice. Here is the details of the customer. Ship to details are optional. If it's available, it will show up here. Similarly, dispatch from. Right. So now let me generate an e-invoice. So how long does it take to generate an e-invoice? It will take hardly a second. Here you can see the e-invoice not generated. Here is the status you are seeing. Here is a yellow circle indicating e-invoice is not yet generated. I just press this one button and immediately e-invoice will get generated. So that's it. So e-invoice got generated. The time is 3:46 on 23rd of March. So this is a real invoice that we generated just now. We generated it on the testing sandbox, the sandbox portal maintained by NIC. If you generate it on the official portal, you will get a message saying official. That's it. And you'll see that in green color. So here is the IRN number. Here is the acknowledgement number, date and time. We also have a few other details here. We have this acknowledgement JSON. So this is the proof. By the way, before I get to that, let me show you the PDF. Here is the PDF of the invoice. Here you can see the IRN number is displayed, the acknowledgement number is displayed, acknowledgement date is displayed, and the rest of the details are same. In addition, there is a QR code. This is a digitally signed data. So if you scan this with the appropriate utility, you will be able to verify that this invoice is a valid invoice. In addition, I have downloaded this acknowledgement JSON. All the details that I received from the government, I have downloaded. I can say I have saved it here. Let me go to the government's website. So the government's website is e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. This website has this utility called Just a second. Verify signed invoice. In this utility, I will upload the JSON that we just now downloaded. You will see here, this is a website run by Government of India, NIC. The website is saying that this is a valid digitally signed invoice. Here is our company details, company name and GST number. Here is the QR code. Here is IRN number, acknowledgement and time. So you can check that the time, 23rd March 2022, and the date is, the time is 3:46 p.m. just about 2 minutes ago. The invoice number that I used, March 230001, you will see the same number here. You will see tables, chairs, the amount, 1,000 rupees, 4 chairs, 1 table, all those details you will see here. All right. In fact, yeah, so the number ECE to EE, you will compare and you can see the same details are here. So this is what it takes to generate an e-invoice. You prepare your data, press a button, the e-invoice will get generated. Now, what does it take to cancel an e-invoice? There is a button, just press cancel. In a second, e-invoice will get canceled. So that's all. So once you cancel, you cannot change this invoice. You cannot modify anything, or once you've generated, you cannot modify. So this is the end-to-end process of generating an e-invoice in this software. If you don't have any other software, we recommend you use this. This will make your e-invoice generation faster. There are some people who have other software and take Excel reports. You are not able to connect the software to the IRP portal. We have an Excel utility as well. So let me show you our Excel utility and I will generate invoices in bulk. Let us get to that right away. So here is the dashboard of GSTZen's e-invoicing dashboard. There are multiple. So here is a quick dashboard to show you how many invoices were generated dated today, 23rd March, how many were generated yesterday, last week, how many were generated pending, cancelled, if there is a error. In fact, let me show you how errors look like. There are 3 errors. So here are the invoices with errors. I can go inside. I will see, okay, so there is some error and the error message will display here. So somebody should go and figure the reason for the error and correct the error. Right. Now coming back, so there are multiple solutions for generating e-invoices through GSTZen. I will use an Excel template. GSTZen provides 2 Excel-based solutions. One is we will directly take your Excel and we'll generate e-invoices from that Excel. There is a one-time mapping to be done. The other option is to use GSTZen's Excel template. This is a predefined template. We have defined, you can simply punch invoices and you can generate invoices. I've already filled in a file here. So these are the columns that are needed for generating an e-invoice. The columns such as document type, document date, document number, so on and so forth. Here is a type of transaction. Just tell me that this is an SEZ invoice. This is a regular invoice. This is an invoice. This is an export without pay. This is an export with pay, so on and so forth. Here also we have a credit note. Here is an invoice. Here is a debit note. So there are different types of documents and there are different types of transactions, supplier details, recipient details, and the line item details, addresses. And here are the line item details. So here is the HSN code, the description, quantity, unit rate, so on and so forth. So if you get this report from your ERP, any software, within a few seconds, you should be able to generate e-invoices. So let me now go to GSTZen and I'll generate an e-invoice right away. So I only have to choose the file that I want to generate e-invoices for. I've uploaded the file. So GSTZen will take a few seconds, about 3 or 4 seconds to process these files. Here you can see it's already processed. So there are 8 invoices in my file. Those invoices have come here. This is the total taxable value, about 1.89 lakhs. If there are any errors, they will show up on this window. Right now, there are no errors. Here is the legend indicating whether e-invoice is created, e-invoice not generated, and whether e-invoice there was any error while uploading and generating the e-invoice. So you can see here that no e-invoice is generated yet. Here is a button for you to Once you press this button, GSTZen will generate e-invoices. Also, before you generate, you might want to also review the invoices. In total, there is an Excel that will show you what is the data. There is also PDF. So in this PDF, you can see the details. So you can see our GST number, address, and date. You can see the customer's address, and PIN code. Here are the details of the invoice, such as invoice number, date, the type of supply, place of supply, so on and so forth. And here are the line items of the invoice. Okay. So this is the PDF that is available, which you can see before generating. If you want to generate one at a time, you can do that. Or if you want to view the Excel, you can do that. You can also generate download invoices in bulk. Now what I will do, I'll press this button to generate e-invoices on the government portal. Once I say upload e-invoices, GSTZen software will take a few seconds. It will walk through the invoices, go over them one by one, and generate e-invoices. You can see message on the left saying that the IRN is generated for these. So you can see a green tick for the first invoice. The other invoices also are refreshing shortly. And here you can see a green tick showing for all the invoices. So this is how long it takes to generate e-invoices. You can see e-invoice got generated. Here is a PDF. And here are the details of the invoice. And here is the QR code, IRN number, acknowledgement date, and time. So whether you punch the invoices in GSTZen or whether you use Excel, the process is pretty much the same. Upload the invoices, e-invoice will go to the portal. Now, let me show the next thing, which I will show how you can use APIs. We see there are some software developers here. In like about 2 minutes, I will generate invoices. We will generate e-invoices through our API. So let me go to. So here is GSTZen's homepage. Right at our homepage, we have FAQ information about e-invoices. One of those links here is how to generate an e-invoice using API. We also have sample payloads. We have sample codes in different languages. So some user in the chat asked about ASP.NET, C#. There is sample code here. You can please go take a look. Right. And so we also have we have sandbox GST numbers, and there is also an authentication token. So if you're a developer, you can right away generate e-invoice in a few seconds using any utility for generating e-invoices. Once for making API calls, once you do that, we request, then you go to your programming language and code it up. So I will do that here. I'm using this utility called hopscotch. I can make any API call here. So this is the address to which we want to send the e-invoices. I have to provide the authorization headers. I have already shared it here publicly. Here is our sandbox header. And you can see this here. There is a name of the key is token. Here is the value. And let's go to the body. I have already pasted a e-invoice JSON here. Let me show you where you can get more e-invoice JSONs from. So GSTZen, we have provided lots of samples. So there is a regular B2B IGST invoice, CGST invoice with ship to details, without ship to details, bill to ship to, so many exports, so many different types of documents. So you can go here and you can see here is the JSON for this invoice. So if you take this JSON and upload it, you will get pretty much the same invoice. So I have already pasted all of this here. So this is the same invoice that I have pasted. Let me do one thing. I will change the invoice number. I will change this invoice number to March 23,002. 001 we have already used earlier in the demo. And so I'll use 002 and let me enter today's date. Actually, I want to show an error scenario. So let me enter tomorrow's date. So I'll enter 24th of March. Usually people ask these questions whether invoice dated future is possible. Answer is it is not possible. Again, you will see that shortly. What I need to do is I just need to hit send. So you will see this error message that the document should not be future date. All right. So let me correct this. Let me give today's date. I've given today's date and I'm saying generate e-invoice. And in less than a second, in fact, you can see the total time to go from our computer to the government, generate and come back. It took only 816 milliseconds. So this is less than 1 second. So the IRN is generated. The pin-to-pin distance government has calculated. Here is the IRN number. Here is the acknowledgement date, time. So the time now is 3:58 p.m. on the 23rd of March. So this invoice was generated just now. Here is the e-way bill number. Here is the status, so on and so forth. So this is so this also contains the signed QR code. It also contains the signed, digitally signed invoice. There are also other useful things. Here is the PDF. So if you want to view this invoice here, there is this URL. So I just enter this URL along with the prefix, our website, which is my.GSTZen.in, and you will see the digitally signed invoice with the QR code with all the details. So that's all. So this is how long it takes to generate e-invoices through any software. If you have the JSON constructed, you press a button, data will go through GSTZen, invoice will get generated. Now I want to cancel this invoice. By the way, so here you can also see the response that the e-way bill was also generated. There is a e-way bill number and date. So I'll just cancel. So again, less than a second, IRN got cancelled. The e-way bill status is cancelled, IRN status is cancelled. And so this is pretty much it. So this is how long it takes to generate an invoice, cancel the invoice. So we request any software developers to take a look at GSTZen's APIs. They are very user friendly. You will be able to get started and generate e-invoices very quickly. Let me get back to a few points in my presentation. So these are all details about the invoice. So this slide talks about GSTZen's offering. We have lots of different solutions. We have an Excel connector. We have a database connector. We have ERP connectors, like we provide API, so on and so forth. On the right hand side are the most easy to use solutions. On the left are a little bit harder to use. However, you can choose whichever solution works for you based on the circumstances. Let me also, we already went through the live demo. So let me just show you our pricing. I leave this on the screen. You can take a look at it and I will open it up for any further questions. Either type it in the chat or you may also raise your hand and ask the questions. Yeah, and Mr. Thomas Varghese, I think we at least addressed some of your questions about the APIs. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them. You can unmute and ask. If others have any questions, please raise your hand. Please show demo using Excel sheet. Mr. Ramana Reddy, could you please unmute? We just showed the demo. Did you miss that or do you want to see the demo again? Please type. Just a second. Mr. Vipin.
Hello. Yeah, Mr. Subramanian.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Actually, I joined late to the demo, to your section.
Okay.
So, can I have a recording of this webinar with the, can be shared?
Yes, so this webinar is live streamed on YouTube.
Okay.
So you can go check it on YouTube. So Mr. CA Venugopal Gella has pasted the YouTube link on the chat.
Okay.
So you should be able to click and watch it right now.
So we are using Tally for our accounting. So I will be interested in that portion only for.
So we have a Tally based solution also.
Yeah.
So just check out our Tally solutions for Tally Prime and ERP9. Both are available. So please take a look at that.
Okay. Okay.
It's
Thank you.
on our YouTube channel.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So the questions is about the pricing. So the pricing has a limit. So the number, the 5,000 invoices is for 18,000 invoices approximately. If you have more invoices, get in touch with us and we can give a different plan. So the pricing is not based on the number of GST numbers or such a thing. If you are a software developer, pricing is basically for you. You can use it for as many clients as you want, as long as they are added into your GSTZen account. You can manage multiple clients and you pay only for the number of invoices that you generate through GSTZen. Okay, so I take it that there are no further questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise your hand. I will leave our coordinates here. So please get in touch with us through any of these methods. You can reach to us over phone, email, chat, WhatsApp, in any means that you find comfortable. Email is the best way to get in touch with us. So that, again, we are a little bit busy right now. We are getting lots of calls. So it's possible that we might miss your call. So send us an email and we'll get back to you very quickly. Thank you all for attending this webinar. I wish you the very best in your e-invoicing journey. Get in touch with us for any questions that you might have in the future. Thank you very much.